Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Been My Pleasure. It's broadcasting live, a recorded message from the Attic in Phoenix, Arizona, the Arcadia District. It's at 44th Street and Indian School. Come on by for the best burger in town, some say the world. Joining me today is my friend Anita Bath, whom we've just recently met on the last episode, told us a little bit about where she's from. And today she's going to describe to us a guest concern she had over the last month and a half. All right, Anita. Would you like to, from the top, kind of give us a quick breakdown of what happened and what it led to?
Okay, well, about 4 months ago, I had a lady come in, and she sat in my section, and I gave her flawless service. The food came out just perfectly, just fine. She did one of those all-you-can-eat kind of things, so it was, you finish eating, or you're halfway through and you put in another order, and then it comes out, and usually, like, right when you're done eating, it should come out. That's the idea of the whole thing.
Right.
And
a typical lunch special.
Yeah. So that's what we did, and it was all perfectly timed. And she was just quite rude the whole experience. I mean, I remember that she asked for an iced tea, and I had brought her out an iced tea, and she's like, "No, I didn't want this." Somebody's on the freeway.
Right. So you brought her out an iced tea.
That she asked for it, and she said, "I didn't want this. I ordered a water." And I was just like, "Oh, okay, well, I'm sorry. I thought you said iced tea. I'll go grab you your water." So I come back promptly, give her the water, and she's just like, "Well, thanks." And I was like, "No problem. Anything else I can get for you? The usual that you ask." And she said no. And then at the end of the experience, she came up to me and was like, "This is the worst service I've ever had. It was awful. And the food came out just so slow. I was waiting it felt like forever to get my food and all this kind of stuff." So she asked to talk to my general manager, and I brought him over, and she actually had left before he got there. She was like, "I don't have time to wait around." So she just walks out. And she called in later when it was the end of my shift, and my GM was like, "So this lady that you had talked about that you knew was going to probably complain did call in and told me that it was the worst service she's ever had." Basically everything she said to me. So usually when we get complaints, we give them free meals or something like that. We take down their name, and then we just, when they come in the next time, their meal's taken care of. So that's what happened with that. And she came in 2 months later, and lo and behold, I get her and her friends in my section again. And I was like, from the start, I was like, "Oh, this isn't going to be good." I was really kind of nervous about it, but going into it, but I was like, okay, positive attitude, go in there and do your best and just do what you did last time, even though it wasn't, exactly what they wanted, or what she wanted. So I went in, and I did my job, and their food came out perfect. Nothing, no complaints, nothing. And then at the end, she took her receipt after I brought it up to her and came over to a table where a fellow server, and my assistant manager was sitting, and she said, "Look, I've had an issue with this server in the past, and I have my name written down somewhere in the back saying that my meal will be paid for this time through." And he said, "Okay, no problem. What's your name?" She gives him her name, and notices my fellow server, who is of a similar ethnic background as herself, and said, "Oh, well, we've had her before, and she is just the best server. She is just great, perfect service, so friendly. Nothing's ever wrong when we have her. We love sitting with her." And we were all, and this is in front of me, and I'm like, okay, this is kind of awkward. And so my assistant manager was like, "Okay, well, let me go check in the back, make sure that we can verify your name." He goes in the back, comes back, and said, "Okay, I'll take care of your meal for you." And she was just kind of like, again, though, this girl, this woman is the best server I've ever had, and this one is just, she's basically like bad, like this is a bad server. And so she leaves, and her friends pay, and my fellow server was basically just infuriated because she could tell that it was racial profiling. That's what it was in the end. At the end of the day, it was the racial profiling.
Okay.
Which was interesting to experience. And it was also frustrating because I feel like I give everybody, the same service, good service, and I really, really focused on those days that I had her, and I was like, nothing went wrong. I don't understand, like, why I was a terrible server.
If I may, it's not your fault that somebody else racially profiles. And unfortunately, that happens in the state far too often. I've been in Arizona for over 20 years now, and I've moved around a lot as a member of the military prior to settling here in Arizona. I say settle, but it's where I'm living, I should say. And there is a lot of it in this area. And it goes all over the place. And it's unusual to me because I come from a military background and there's less of it within the military environment. I'm sure it exists, but it really persists here. I can see that happening because I know the person of whom you speak. I know the other server of whom you speak, and she's a professional. And you are both, as I understand, senior members of your staff, and you both are leaders on your teams, team leaders on your staff. And if she felt that something was inappropriate, it most likely was. That's not something you should have to tolerate, nor even deal with. And I would hope that the senior management and assistant management team was helpful in making sure that you weren't put into that position again. Definitely bring that up with your management team. And if you feel more strongly about it, if you feel that the conflicts that are arising from guest concerns are being motivated by personal hatred rather than your inability to perform the task or how well you did perform the task, then you need to possibly bring that up with management. And if they're unwilling to take steps, take it up with your human resources department and help to ensure the safe workplace for everyone. Those type of guests are not the type of guests that you want coming into your facility over and over again. Because if they come in and they're constantly harassing members of the staff that aren't of similar ethnic background as they are, then they're going to project out that negativity that other people are then going to perceive and begin stereotyping others. You understand? So, and that's something we have to combat as well.
Yeah.
So make sure that you're talking to your management team about guests who are behaving inappropriately and to ensure that you have a safe workplace environment. All right? So I think that's what we should have to do, or what we should do in those situations.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my friends, if you have any advice or comments about what we just talked about, by all means, leave a comment in the section below where it's appropriate. If you think that she did her job and did a good job doing it and was a good trooper for not losing her temper at the situation, then give her a thumbs up. If you are on the side of the guest no matter what, despite the fact that the guest appears to have been behaving inappropriate, then give us a thumbs down. We're going to go into another segment here in just a moment. Hopefully we can shift gears a little bit and do something a little more positive. It had to be talked about if it had to be talked about.
Yeah.
Do you have any ideas or concepts that you like to use in order to increase your tips and or gratuities? And if you do, are you willing to sit down and do another segment with me?
Yes.
Okay. Then we're going to do that. If you're watching on the playlist, continue to let it roll. If you've reached the end of the playlist, by all means, click on my pixelated friend's face to see more content just like this, and stay tuned. We'll go over what I like to call the tips for tips. All right. Thank you very much. Until next time, my name is JC. It's been my pleasure.